Yep, that's my button. I'm Jeannie Keltner. You're here on Soapbox. We're talking with Jim Updegraff and Jeff Kravitz about civil liberties in the ACLU. And we took the break just on the point of talking about the spy in the sky, which my question was, are we going to tell, we're going to tell our city council people, right? Do you think we're going to get a response?
Oh, people that are elected by voters generally respond to voters' concerns. I wouldn't be surprised if there's a fairly rapid response. I would suggest to the listeners of this program who do have a concern about the drone that they might make, I'm talking about people that live in the city of Sacramento, that they make their particular or council person of their district aware of their concern by sending a letter, an email, or a phone call, or all of the above if they wish.
And you know, if you don't have your elected officials, they're always in the blue pages of your phone book. And it's nice to know that you can get their home offices, and you can get their, if they're Washington people, you can get Washington offices too. But Jim, what do you say to the thing that you hear so often? Well, if you're not doing anything wrong, what do you care if somebody's flying around in the sky looking at what you're doing?
I mean, here's the thing. I mean, you know, the culture of the United States and the law of the United States, we were created by the Constitution. There's not an ethnic or geographical entity that is the United States. No nation has ever been like this. We've expanded from 13 colonies through the entire nation because people have joined into a set of values. And one of the values that we have is the value of personal liberty and personal autonomy, which means the government doesn't get the right to know what you're doing all the time. They don't even have, they don't have the right to...
That was in the old days.
No, that's always, that is what our culture is. The government does not have a right to know what you're doing all the time. They don't even have a right to know who you are. They don't have a right to, the government doesn't have a right to know who the person walking down the street is. Why? People can walk down the street without telling the government who they are. They don't have to do it.
Really and truly, that was in the old days.
Well,
now we are in the post-9/11 world, which I think, of course, most people watching this program know that I believe that was an inside job and therefore not the basis of anything. And on top of it, we are losing the thing. You know, Jeff, I have never thought before that people joined because of a set of values, that other entities joined those original 13 colonies because of the values.
Well, they had to have. I mean, that is the only, I mean, that is apparently what they joined. That's why all of them have to ratify the Constitution to become a state. That's why the South wasn't readmitted to the Union till it ratified the 14th and 13th Amendment, was because they had to do it to become states. Now, the thing is that when you have this situation about whether anything has changed post and pre 9/11 in terms of surveillance. I mean, what they're talking about here with this drone in the sky even goes beyond the type of. So I was just in London where they have incredible surveillance. You know, the sky plane or the spy in the sky could fly over people's homes. It could fly over people's backyards. It could look in people's windows.
This drone.
This is unbelievable.
Of course.
Well beyond even the type of surveillance you'd say, well, you're near a government building, there's a camera looking at you, what's the big deal? Well, that might be right. What is the big deal? You're walking into a courthouse. Of course somebody sees you walking into a courthouse. This is an ability to spy on everybody.
With infrared technology.
They may have that in there. I assume they do, but I haven't heard exactly how this works. And I got to tell you one other thing about it is, aside from its emergency use, and maybe it does have a valid emergency use, I don't know, but the general idea about this, it's such a waste of resources, it's hilarious. All the time when they tell you these things are going to be less expensive, they're going to have to train some officer in controlling the drone and looking at this and doing this. I mean, you would imagine that there is a huge amount of crime going on that this would be helpful for. Let me give you an example of something. I have a client who has a business, and in the past couple of weeks there have been false 911 calls made. We think they're targeting his business for all sorts of reasons. You know, I asked the police, well, before you come down, could you call his business? They said, no, they don't have the resources to do that. But
We have to send
but they're going to have the
squad cars.
resources to have squad cars. Yeah, they have the resources to send the squad cars down, but they don't have the resources to do any investigation ahead of time.
Yeah, but it's
just
fun to ride in
ridiculous.
the squad car with your siren on.
Absolutely, and it'll be unbelievable fun to have a spy drone going around all over the place. Maybe you'll catch more non-crimes. You know, maybe you'll catch a couple
selling dope on the corner.
maybe kids selling dope on the corner. Maybe you'll catch a couple making out in their car. Either a heterosexual or a homosexual couple who are much more
Is that a
targeted by the
crime?
police for doing that. If other people are seeing it, they could claim it's indecent exposure, right? But of course, if only it's the drone plane flying over that sees it, you'd have a pretty good defense
That's really
against the
indecent
case.
exposure.
Right, but the police would still hassle you about it.
Of course.
You know, I mean, lots of things that are not crimes are
Well, when have
people
you
are
ever
hassled
seen
about.
when have you ever heard the helicopter go up and come right down again? It goes up and circles
yeah.
and circles and circles, and I don't even like that.
Yeah, I never know what exactly they're looking for. I mean, assume there's some reason for it, and they come over and the lights in your face. The drone, I don't know if the drone would have a light. I mean, I just think the idea is it's just one of these things. It's new technology, so we have to have it.
So
They have
and
to
somebody
have
made a nice bundle.
Oh yeah.
You know, I mean,
Yeah.
It's a new toy for the
a new
police
toy,
department,
yeah.
is what it is. I read the transcript of the interview they did with the Ozer from the ACLU and the NPR, and what the chief of police had to say. I got the impression that civil liberties had never crossed the mind of anybody involved with this up until it became public. There didn't seem to be any mention of the concern. It was a new toy to help them solve crimes.
and in truth,
Oh,
there must
sure.
be somebody in the city council, at least in the city manager's office, that was well aware of this as it was being
Well,
developed.
we used to have a spa in our backyard. We have a fairly high fence. My wife and I preferred to go out there without clothes, a bathing suit or anything.
Okay,
Spy in the
you're
sky, we would have somebody looking down on us.
You're
That's
under
absolutely
arrest
true.
right now. In fact, I'm making a preventive arrest.
Right, you know, the thing is, it wouldn't be illegal, but then the thing is, you're not expecting to be seen, but they could use it to make some sort of allegation against people for all sorts of behavior. I mean, you know, it's just so interesting. I mean, crime that people want prevented would be crime that you don't need a spy satellite to see. I mean, just think logically about it. I mean, you know, it's crime you would know, people being assaulted in the street. Well, you know, you don't need a spy satellite to see such a thing. I mean, what are they going to do, have them over every square inch of the city? They're not going to. The vast majority of crime happens and nobody knows about it till after it's occurred.